Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78, coming to you from Schaumburg, specifically the Boomers, and I have my friend Mike here to talk all about it. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Mike, give me your big fancy title, because I always like to get that out of the way so people know who I'm talking with. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of words and ands and what in there. Executive Vice President and General Manager. For lack of a better term, I run the organization.
You run the organization, so you are a baseball executive, my friend. Fantastic. For folks who are big baseball fans in the Chicago area, obviously there's a lot of options, but specifically, the Boomers have done a lot in the last few years to kind of, I don't want to say modernize, because that's not the word I'm looking for, but I'll let you explain what you guys have done. Well, give me the spiel on the Boomers.
Sure. Yeah. I'll just give you a little quick background on the organization and everything. In terms of minor league baseball, in baseball in general, Chicagoland is probably one of the more saturated markets that you're going to find anywhere. I mean, not only are there multiple minor league teams, it's one of the few locations that have multiple major league teams. And, it takes a lot of work to carve out your niche to kind of stand out in the market, especially up here in the northwest suburbs, where for us, you're not just competing with other baseball teams and other things like that. You're competing a lot with the entertainment world. Schaumburg in the northwest suburbs is absolutely loaded with things that you can do, with your families if you just want to go out and stuff everywhere. So we don't have to, we don't put our focus entirely on baseball. That's obviously a big part of it, but trying to bring the organization up and, like you said, bringing new things out, you're trying to modernize the fan experience and give people a reason to come out, care about the organization, care about what's going on, and just have a great night at the ballpark. So a lot of that is the things that we've been doing has been, thinking through everything from the sports world to comparing to what movie theaters are like, or what going out to eat is like, or what any of the other experiences are like out in this region.
Yeah, you talked earlier before we got started here just about some of the improvements you've made to the facility itself. So run through those, just because I think those are part of the fan experiences that people will notice that stand apart from others.
So we've been in a really great situation. From 2018 to 2019, we had a big growth in attendance. From 2019 to 2020, we had a massive growth in attendance. Or sorry, 2021. I have to skip 2020 since we didn't have a season. 2021 to 2022, another big jump. And now we're again way up from the year prior this year. And some of that has given us the opportunities to do a lot of things and been able to create new and unique experiences. Some of the things are just kind of general modernizing. Our stadium was built in 1999. So that was before LED lights, before some of the new sound system stuff and those kind of things. So some of the more recent projects this previous off season involved a complete replacement of the audio system, a complete replacement, bringing in the LED lighting across the board, both for the fan experience, but obviously for saving electricity, saving for the environment and things like that. More recently here, just in the last month, we did something a little crazy, and that is we replaced the entire video board middle of the season, which is kind of a crazy undertaking to do.
Yeah, right in the middle of the season, huh?
We had the All-Star break and said, all right, let's do it. We gutted the entire operating system, the entire board, put in something new that was about 2.5 times the size of the previous one. I believe it's about 25 feet by 45 feet in left field now, with a full everything from the inside operating to the screen itself, which obviously is a big challenge to put on your staff in the middle of the season, because hey, you've got to start every graphic, every video clip, everything over from scratch. But we were able to do it and it's been exceptional addition. Previous to that, we had replaced the entire field. Our playing surface, which is becoming somewhat unique in minor league baseball as more and more teams switch to turf. I personally am kind of a traditionalist across the board, whether it's baseball itself, but also where it's played is we're still a grass field. Not only are we a grass field, but we actually worked on a full replacement 2 years ago with Roger Bossert from the Chicago White Sox.
White Sox.
And, our groundskeeper works very closely with the Wrigley Field groundskeeper and the White Sox groundskeeper. One sec. So we have the exact same playing surface and field as the White Sox, Cubs, and us, which gives us, our field itself a major league level. We use the exact same sod and exact same system, which I think is unique. And that kind of gets to, if you want to go down that rabbit hole a little bit, is one of the reasons I think that we've been successful, and one of the reasons people come out is, when you think minor league baseball, you think of quirkiness, you think of people, making jokes and trying to be as weird as you can on Twitter to try and get attention and that kind of thing. And, that's not really our shtick. We'll do some fun stuff, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. That's still one of the great things about being a minor league team. But at the core, we fully believe that the baseball is the most important element of what you're doing. If you're a professional baseball team, that's what matters most.
Sure.
And we take all of that seriously. So, we put a major league caliber field out there. We put an emphasis on the baseball. We put an emphasis on on winning games, having the best possible team, and making the baseball experience the best it can, on top of the promotions and the fun and goofy things and stuff like that. And realistically, that is a little bit unique in minor league baseball, where everyone's kind of more going for the quick joke and the quick laugh. We put the experience of the baseball and the experience of the fan first. That's the reason why our marketing slogan is "Feel the Boom, the championship fan experience." Is the team wins a lot of championships, so you can play off of that. But we make it easy. For example, our tickets are basically our tickets. People are like, "Oh, do you have a discount for this?" I'm like, "No, we're cheap for everybody." Like, the reserve seats are $16, the lawn's $12. For $60, you can get an all-you-can-seat, which has all of your food and drink included. And it's pretty straightforward. But we're not going to then hit you for $10 when you pull in for parking or whatever. Our parking is free. We have giant lots right next to the stadium. You pull right in, you're right next to the stadium, you walk right in. You didn't have to take out your wallet as you pulled in. When you get to the stadium, if you're bringing, if you're coming with a family and you've got kids and stuff, our kid zone is free. You don't have to, pull out another $5 to give a kid a wristband to go on the, playground. Everything as you get here is designed to not make you feel like you just got nickeled and dimed and had to pay for each experience as you came. I'm a firm believer, as you paid $16 for your ticket, you get the stadium. That's what you do, right? And that's part of what the experience is, on top of the baseball and on top of everything else, is giving that kind of return.
Yeah, and I think that people here in Chicagoland area, they expect baseball teams to do baseball, right? Like Chicago is it's one of the founding cities of baseball, period, here in the United States. So like you talked about, there's a storied history of the major league teams that have played here since the dawn of baseball. So I think that's what people expect. Sure, people want to have fun. And I think there is that assumption that minor league baseball is a little less intense, but I would even argue that major league baseball has mirrored minor league baseball in terms of fan experience, about upping their game, because I just recently was at a major league game, and all the things that minor league baseball has been doing for years, major league baseball is doing now. So it's almost like you guys are the trendsetters for the fan experience, not the other way around.
I'm not going to say which team, but I have noticed in my 5 years that 2 or 3 of my ideas that we've had have appeared all of a sudden a year or 2 later on the major league. It's specifically ones we had, and I'm not going to mention which team on the South Side copied that.
Yeah, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And even though you're not from Chicago, you sound like a Chicagoan with that statement. So I appreciate that very much. So as in going with the fan experience, we have a little bit of the season left, right? And then it's so what do you have in terms of the family experiences coming up here for the rest of the summer and beyond? What's the team looking like going into the fall?
I mean, I hate to bring up something that's already happened, but that'd be amiss if I didn't bring up our marshmallow fight last Friday night. So this is an annual tradition. So I have to think about this for next year if you're listening. But we have a thing called the world's largest marshmallow fight. So we do have some quirky, dumb things. But in this instance, we were able to work with Sony Pictures, and we had Stay Puft Marshmallow Man bobbleheads for the first 1,000 fans. That went over really well. So obviously we had these big lineups for that. The game had a massive walk-up and event and did sell out. It was the second highest attendance of all time, behind 4th of July this year, and 3rd of July this year is third. So the three highest attendances of all time here are this year. But we do a thing where we get 5 pallets of these baseball-sized marshmallows, and we put them in the outfield. And after the game, everybody runs onto the field and just has 20 minutes of whipping marshmallows at each other.
Now, that sounds amazing.
It is crazy, especially when you have a crowd of over 7,000 and you calculate, a good third of them probably went home. So you probably had 4,500 to 5,000 people on the field just flinging marshmallows at each other. It is our
sight to see.
Our groundskeeper's least favorite game of the year.
I imagine.
But it didn't take us long to pick them up. We had everybody out there helping from our staff. But looking ahead, like what we've got coming up, there's still 9 home games left for us. Some really great ones on Tuesday night next week. We have Dollar Hot Dog Nights, the last Dollar Hot Dog Night of the year. Wednesday night next week is the Pro Wrestling Night. Now, I grew up, in the 80s and 90s, and pro wrestling was everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I kind of had a thing where this year I was like, I'm booking one of my favorite guys from growing up. So we have the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, coming out.
Nice.
And we actually got Ted to approve special jerseys for the team to wear. That's the $1 Million suit with the belt put into it. That the team will wear and will auction off for charity.
That's great.
And then we also have Rikishi coming from. So if you're into the 90s wrestling, Rikishi's coming out. We're playing the Washington Wild things, and the fact that I didn't think about asking them to become the Washington Wild thongs in honor of Rikishi just completely, passed my mind a little.
Next year.
Came in too late. But that's Wednesday night. Thursday is another Thursday day game. It's one of those opportunities that we get businesses that just come out, enjoy an afternoon at the ball game. You talk about history of baseball in Chicago. Chicago loves day games in the middle of the week. The Cubs did that for 100 years. Still do. Friday night next week, we've got Mental Health Awareness Night, post-game fireworks. We always put on a big show. Fridays are always a big night at the ballpark. Saturday is Squishmallow giveaway. That we got our mascot.
Those are huge.
Yep, our mascot Coop in Squishmallow version plus post-game fireworks. That'll be another massive one. That'll probably be another sellout or close to it for 7,000 plus. Bark in the Park on Sunday. You can bring your dog out to the ballpark. That's the next 6-game homestand. It's going to be great. Then we finish with a 3-game homestand over Labor Day weekend as well, with fireworks Friday, fireworks Saturday, and an afternoon game on Sunday.
Fantastic. And if people want more information about, the certain days or directions on the ballpark, what's the best way for them to get that?
Boomersbaseball.com. That's with an S, like OK Boomer, but with an S. So boomersbaseball.com. And then, which, by the way, is a prairie chicken, not a person of a certain age. A boomer is a prairie chicken, for everyone who's asking.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it is the nickname given to male prairie chickens because of the booming noise they make to lure their mate. And historically, prior to 1960s, Schaumburg area was all like prairie. Actually, it just developed in 50 years ago. So yeah. Boomersbaseball.com is the best place to get information. Any of our social media accounts, usually at boomersbaseball, is a good follow for any of that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, Michael, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Best of luck to the rest of the season and beyond. Boomers have been around and will be around for as long as baseball is around, I would assume. So it's a lot of fun to go, and it's a great option for people in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, or even anywhere. If you love baseball and you like traveling around, I mean, Chicago, like we've talked about, has a lot of options besides the major league teams. There's teams on the south side, the right here along the 294 corridor, and then out your way. So a lot of baseball to be had. So why not just make a whole summer of just traveling around and checking out these baseball teams here in the Chicago area?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Tom.